All right, kids, I think we're broadcasting. Welcome to another episode of Commercial Refrigeration and Air Conditioning Essentials. So just real quick, I have, I don't know, my face light up there, a yellow light up there. That's why it's yellow. I'm not really concerned about aesthetics and props and stuff. I mean, I put my guitar back there for something to look at. But visual stuff I'm not crazy about. I'm more concerned about auditory, actually. I don't know if I can move this over and get a better shot of that guitar. Let's see. Nope. See, it's bass backwards from what you do. But anyway, you can see it right there. I can move. See if I move that way. That is so weird that it's that different. All right. So this is going to be for, and I'm going to send the link to some friends and family members because there is a cold snap coming through. I was watching Fox Weather, nationwide, whatever. And, yeah, it's already started in Minnesota. Let's see, I can pull it up right now. Weather in Minnesota. And I'm going to start with the worst case scenario. I'm from Chicago. So right now it's minus 11. I don't know if you can see that. Yes, you can, because I can see it and I'm holding it up. Minus 11 air temperature. And it's going to get only colder Friday. Minus 18. Minus 10 to minus 18 air temperature. And then Sunday, Monday, it's going to start warming up again. But it's going to be minus 14 Monday morning. And it looks like we're going to get out of this. Now, here's the thing. These are pretty cold temps for anybody. I don't care if you're an Eskimo, you're from Chicago, wherever you're from, this is cold and this is concerning because I've seen many, many, many instances where it creates all kinds of havoc. Downtime, building damage, home damage, that when these cold temps happen, if you don't prepare for it, you're going to be stuck in it, and there's going to be nobody to come out and run the call for you because they're all either just going to run emergency calls, service companies, or they're not going to run any at all because they're not going to risk their guys, especially if you're not a loyal customer to some service providers. But the world has changed. So in Chicago, it's 23 with a low of minus 5. Friday, minus 2 to minus 6. Saturday, 13 and minus 2, 18 and 4. And that's going to be it. So this ain't going to be too bad for Chicago. That's where I'm from, the Chicago area. I have experienced 20 below zero air temperature. Go Broncos. If I can get that position right. 20 below air temperature in Chicago, working on the roof. Who am I? Okay, my name is Tim Parsons. And chat room's open. Please ask questions. Because this is no joke. I don't even know how to spell. In being from Chicago, I'm going to be a lot of forward actually. I'll watch the colorful metaphors. I don't want to offend anybody, but New Yorker, Chicago, Jersey, whatever, we all have pretty much the same culture, and I got to look at that. They tell you in film not to look at the camera, and I don't want to look at that camera, but I have to because I want you to at least feel that I'm talking with you in a conversation. Like I said, I don't like video stuff at all. I just don't. I'm a podcaster. But I got to share, I went away from Macintosh and Windows to Linux Mint. And this program's OBS. Now, all these programs are free. And I've made a video or two about how I feel about software, Magic Software, computer systems, this and that, and everything else. And I just had enough of what your computer is allegedly doing instead of you telling your computer to do something, which is nothing more than logging in as a local user and not signing in to clouds and this and that and everything else and having stuff pop up. This computer, Linux Mint, I can't say enough good things about it. And this program's called OBS. It's free. All the software is free, including some of the Office versions like Libre Office or only Office, and you can't tell the difference. It's not Microsoft Office, to put it bluntly. So I ran a company in Chicago for 20 years, and all commercial accounts, mostly restaurants. And we strived to do our heat startup, which was part of the preventative maintenance, and tell the customer, you got a bad heat exchanger, you got a ignition module that ain't working, you need a high limit, all the things that they need to do to get their unit ready for cold weather. And I would say, surprisingly, up until 2017, when my business went under, it's a whole different story, that 90% of them listened. And then, of course, I had a few techs that were lazy and didn't do the preventative maintenance correctly and put us in a pretty bad position, like with heat exchangers. And in a few instances, there was some heat exchangers that were on back order from Lennox. I don't really care. And 13 days, and there was nothing I could do. And it should have been caught on a proactive level. Preventative maintenance saves you money. I just saw some video on YouTube. Of course, it's got to be real. And it was about AI with two guys talking about how AI has come up with a preventative maintenance program and a predictive program, which that's what I call preventative maintenance. I call it predictive. So this is for service technicians, family, older people, that there's some things you can check and do before it gets too cold, before you find out that your heat's going to go out. And I don't want that happening to anybody. And buildings, and I don't think it's going to get cold enough to pop pipes. It might in Minneapolis, or anything north of, I don't know, would that be the 40-degree latitude? Anything north of Chicago, pretty much. You don't want to walk into a building with broken pipes. You just don't. I've seen it too many times, and the reasons are for what I'm saying is people just didn't approve their estimates to fix their equipment on a proactive level. Now, speaking of that, for residential, this is my opinion, you should have your residential HVAC system, preventative maintenance, heat startup, and air conditioning startup once every 2 years. Not once every year, once every 2 years. Keep the condenser coil clean on the outside. Keep the air filter clean. I'm not a fan of any Magic high resistive, high static air filters. The fiberglass throwaway ones you get at Home Depot are perfectly fine. Because if you put an air bear in there, or, electronics are okay, but if you put in a real thick media, clean filter media that's 4 inches thick, you're going to have some airflow restrictions, and it's not worth it. Just my opinion. You should have a digital setback thermostat, and I'll get into that. But I'm here to help one person. One person. They don't frickin' freeze to death. Which, I don't know, you could. You could in Minneapolis, but they already revised the weather, and it's not going to be as bad as it is, but it is towards the end of January. We've been really fortunate in Colorado. It's almost like been a Florida summer, and we still have the whole month of February. So a lot of things can happen. And then after that, March, the chances of 0-degree days are slim to none, but we can get a shit ton of snow. But I'm concerned about low temps. So for people that have homes, okay, and maybe apartment management companies or a facilities manager or whatever you want to call it, that property managers, that's what you would want to call it, that you want to make sure that your tenants are taken care of and you're prepared. Now, if you're on a hydronic boiler system, you know, that's pretty reliable, but for the love of God, don't lock the, you know, don't set the boiler temperature like at 140 or 50 or whatever. You actually should put an outdoor reset on it, which means the colder it gets outside, the higher the temperature in the boiler is. It's pretty cool. Nowadays, they probably got programmers and magic controllers that do that. Back in the day when I was working on boilers 20 to 30 years ago, not so much anymore, because they're mostly high efficiency now and stuff. But, yeah, you better have your boiler temp at 180. That's all I'm going to tell you. But for your home, you want comfortable people, right? I mean, you don't want them taking the aggravation out on your thermostat because you're keeping your boiler temp at 150 or 160 in cold weather, right? Don't do that. You know, get an outdoor reset, like I said. Okay, for your house. So most people, if not everybody on the planet, puts their blower on their thermostat in auto, okay? That's fine. All that means is that when the air conditioner comes on or the heat comes on, the blower's going to come on, okay? That's all that means. If you put the blower to on the thermostat, it kicks it to high speed. It runs on low speed on heat, high speed on air conditioning. But when you put the blower fan switch from auto to on, now it's in high speed, okay? Regardless if the air's working or the heat's working, it doesn't matter. I'm going to tell you this. To keep temperatures even through the house in extreme cold weather and hot weather, put the blower on. Okay? Temporarily. If it raises your electric bill $5, I'd be shocked. It's only a third to, at the most, a half horsepower motor. It's not going to bankrupt you because you have air moving through your house. You need that to distribute the heat evenly as much as you can in each room, upstairs and downstairs. And when the blower shuts off, you're going to have stagnant air, and you don't want that. Your thermostat. No, this is debatable. Again, all this is a comfy heat setting is 71, and a comfy cooling temp is 73. Okay, here's what I'm going to get at. You probably have a thermostat because just in the state of Colorado, you have to now have a digital setback thermostat in your house. You don't have a choice. And that's great and everything else in a perfect world, but when it gets really hot out or really cold out like it's going to, you don't want your setback thermostat to go down at night because that's when it gets colder. And let's say you're not supposed to set it for any colder than 10 degrees occupied. And this is a big thing too. It's like, well, how much am I going to save or where does it cost me more money if I turn it down too much in the wintertime at night and then have it at occupied at 71. So let's say 71 occupied, 61 unoccupied. You don't want to go any colder than 10 degrees for a lot of reasons. And that's one of them because they say if you do more than that, you're going to not save much money. So, and why would you want to go colder than 10 degrees anyway? Same thing in the summer. 73 occupied cool, 83 unoccupied. 83 is pretty warm. But if you go past that 10-degree differential, you're not going to save any money. That's what they say. So, however, in really cold weather and really hot weather, I would not adjust your thermostat to go to a setback temperature. Or even if it's unoccupied. That's a whole other thing. If you got a house up north or a cottage or something, and you're messing with unoccupied temps, in extreme cold, it wouldn't do that. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. So don't do that. A lot of homes, if not all nowadays, I'm not a residential expert, but in commercial, which I am, and residential, there's something called combustion air. Okay? So just real basically, fire needs air to burn, to be combustible. Okay? Combustion, ignition, fire, whatever. And by code, well, not only sometimes they got to bring make-up air, which is outside air, into the return air duct, which is a whole different thing. That could lower your efficiency. I didn't even think about that, but let's not go there. There's a round duct or a vent cut in the outside wall that lets cold air come in. And you're going to feel it, especially really quick here, next couple nights. Do not block that. Do not block that. Do not block that. If you do, your hot water heater, and if you have an open atmospheric burner on your furnace or some other things in there, even a gas dryer, clothes dryer, you're going to use all of the combustion air, and you may cause a negative air condition or no oxygen, nitrogen, everything that's in air, for combustible heat. And you may cause a negative, and you may cause a downdraft, which means instead of the flues going up, if the thing even burns and ignites, you're going to have the gases coming down into the building. You don't want that. You don't want that. So whether it's a mechanical room, your room where your furnace is and your hot water, and it's like, damn, that's cold, I have to stop that cold air from coming in. That's stupid. No, that's intentional. And you need that. So don't mess with that. Okay? Because you're going to break your heat. Or even worse, may possibly have a carbon monoxide issue. Don't do that. Setbacks at windows. Windows are the worst. They're the worst. I mean, they're way better than they have been in years. Get one of these things off Amazon. It's a Ryobi infrared thermometer, and you'll have a lot of fun with this. And not kinky fun. You just have a lot of fun with this. It's a laser, and you point it at whatever you want the temperature of. It's very accurate. It's surface temperature. And how come things are getting blurry? Interesting. It's for surface temperature. And you can shoot windows or anything else, walls, whatever you want to do. I'm afraid to touch this because it's going to probably... I don't know why that's getting blurry. Huh. That's better. Maybe I was walking up into it too much. And it'll tell you the temperature right there. Okay? Not only that, you'll drive your cat crazy with this thing, with the laser. And maybe the dog. Until the cat gets smart enough to figure out what the hell you're doing, and it's going to probably look at you as like, yeah, right. Just go fuck yourself. And ain't doing that no more. So this is invaluable because you'll see the heat loss from pointing this thing, whatever you're doing, ceilings, vents. You want to point this at your supply discharge air and see what temperature you're getting, and then what the temperature of the room is, or the return air going to the furnace, where the filter is, but find a return air vent. And you'll be able to really quick get a heat rise off of your furnace. That's very important. They're designed anywhere from, it depends on what you're talking about. I've seen as low as 30 degrees, 40 degrees on rooftops, all the way up to 70 on other equipment, specifically furnaces. So not so much anymore. It's usually around 50, but you need to check that. And all you need to do is use this. Make sure it's running, blower's running, check the supply air, check the return air, and bam, this will tell you. Because the colder it gets, the less heat your furnace is going to put out. Here's another thing. The print on my first house, which I got a hold of the prints back in 1994 in South Elgin, Illinois, the print spec'd out at minus, was it minus 10? I don't think so. I think it was like 20. It was like ambient temperature 0 with a 20-mile-an-hour wind to keep the house at 68 degrees. So it all depends on what code is, what they approve in the print, and what the architect and or builder decides to put in your house. I can tell you this right now, 90% of it's always too small because they don't size it based on extreme cases. They only size it on average temperature. Most equipment in Chicago is sized for 70-degree average air temperature for heating and cooling. Yeah, well, you know what? If that was the case and it was 70 degrees on average, I'd move back there. But that's not what it is because they average it out. In my opinion, you should go for worst case scenarios. It does get minus 20 here, and it does get 100 in Chicago and minus 20 in Chicago. So I would size accordingly to that. That's just me. Otherwise, you're not going to cool your home in 100-degree weather. If it's 3 days in a row, extreme weather, you're going to be in trouble on the third and fourth day until it cools off or heats up again. Trust me. So if you can't keep your house warm, here's the thing I'm going to say, and listen exactly what I'm going to say, please. If you're going to use a space heater, okay, don't get one that glows red hot and all this stuff or has flames coming out of it or whatever. You only should use a ceramic heater, and that's the little square ones that you plug in, and you can literally put tissue paper in front of them and touch them, and you won't get burned. And if they get knocked over, they'll shut off. To ignite something with a ceramic heater, if you can do that, I'd like to know how. They're extremely safe. One of the kids touches it, it might be warm enough to, have them start crying or say owie or something, but they're not going to get burned. I used them when I was raising my kids, and I never had a problem with them. And they're nice little, put under your desk in case you're cold, you have a draft, you feel a draft. You're going to feel a lot of drafts. You're going to find out how good or bad your building really is built. Trust me. So for the love of God, if you're going, don't use a kerosene heater. Don't use any type of combustible flame heater. Okay, please, salamanders, whatever, camping heaters. Do not use those. The only thing you can get is ceramic heater. Look them up on Amazon, or going to Home Depot or Lowe's or something. And please just use those electric plug-in little cube ceramic heaters if you're going to use one. Okay. I don't want to see stories on the news that people brought a heater in or a generator in their house to power something. You can't do that. And please do not do that. It's all education. And sometimes when it's an emergency and you have to stay warm or you want to save your building or your house or whatever it is, I get it. I've been in so many, I can't even tell you. 43 years of experience, I can't even tell you how many situations I've been in. And desperation and reaction and fear is not the way to handle it. For commercial buildings, specifically restaurants, make sure your makeup air is working. Do not turn it off, because if you turn it off, you're going to throw your building into a negative. I don't care how cold that air is coming out of there, unless, of course, it's freezing, and that's one of two things, which is outside air. So if it's 0 outside and you have no heat on your makeup air, you're going to bring in 0-degree air. That's very cold weather to bring into a building and blowing on people's heads, or if you have a PSP, perforated supply plenum from captive air, or it's in your perimeter heat and not being dumped into a short cycle hood or right above everybody's head, which are outdated. Don't turn it off. And unless it's putting 0 degree air out. But if it's doing that, you need some heat, because somebody took shortcuts and not putting a heated makeup air system. So it's your discretion to turn it off. But if you turn that makeup air off, you're going to throw that building in a negative, and then you're going to have your exhaust fan sucking all kinds of air from anywhere it can. And it's going to probably be through the attic and the dormers and through the ceiling tiles and everything else. Back door, if you can even get it open. The dining room. It's going to really mess with your kitchen equipment with flame conditions. Don't do it. Don't do it. Just tough it out. If you do have heat in your makeup air unit, the heat rise is usually 50 to 70. Captive air or any direct fire makeup air units is usually designed for 70. But if it's 0 outside and you're bringing in a 70 degree rise, it's 70 degree air coming out of the supply, which is going to feel cold. But that's usually what the discharge air temperature at the most is set for on makeup air units, no matter what. 55, maybe 50, 60, 70. No higher than 70, though, because it's too much heat going into the kitchen, which you do not want. Trying to get rid of that heat. I would say this, too, depending on the age of the makeup air unit and how it's wired. I would make sure that you have your HVAC provider make sure that there is a manual reset. This is for technicians, too. Make sure there's a manual reset, a Honeywell remote bulb stat, manual reset, free stat, and you stick it in the supply air from the makeup air unit. And if that air gets below 40 degrees, it's wired into the starter or contactor of the blower for the makeup air, and it knocks it out. It knocks it out. Because you don't want that air coming into that building if it's that cold. You're going to have all kinds of problems, probably break pipes, and I don't even want to go there because I've seen it way too many times. So the controls probably $300, cost you $300 to get it in, at the most maybe under $1,000, and you're going to save yourself a lot of fucking headaches. I can tell you. In a building with setback thermostats, again, in EMS systems, you're the customer. You tell your EMS people, look, don't mess with my unoccupied temperatures. Okay? Some of them will say, we have overrides and we got that handled. It's like, yeah, okay, whatever. Wink, wink. Okay, you want to sign off on this if I have water damage? If we find out that it got below a certain temperature because you set my thermostats too low at night? Okay. Because I'm not granting you an indemnity for it. If that's what you're telling me, you're putting it in writing and you're going to prove it. In some cases, you still might not have that, and no matter what you do and everything's running, the building just keeps getting colder and colder and colder. And I'm going to get to what that could be here in a world. Well, that's the next thing, really. Don't set your setback thermostats for unoccupied temps. Keep it at the same for occupied. Put the blower on. In commercial buildings, especially restaurants, your blower should be running all the time anyway. If you don't, and you have return air grills, and the thermostat satisfies, and with the outdoor air open for outside air for the damper for building exchanges and by code, the blower shuts off and you're going to have cold air dumping down the return air, and it's going to dump on people, usually by the bathroom or in the kitchen or wherever the return air grill is, bar. And they're going to go, hey, there's cold air blowing out of there. It's like, no, it's not blowing out of there. It's falling because the blower's not running. And the outside air dampers are open probably at a minimum of 10%, depending on who and what the specs are for balancing your building, which you should have done automatically. Now, this is what I'm going to say. With today's technology and some rooftops and this and that, I'm sure There's some units out there that if the discharge air gets too cold, it will close down the makeup or the outside air temporarily. Most don't. Most don't. And you'll go off on a free stat. That's another thing will happen with Lennox units. I've had nuisance calls. That's what they're called, nuisance calls. Legal term for it. That the unit locked out because when the blower satisfied and they had it in auto, the cold air hit the freestat sensor probe and knocked the unit out, and it didn't work at all. In extreme cases, and I would do this tomorrow, actually, if I were you, I would get your HVAC guy out there and make sure that your outside air dampers are not more than 10%. Some of them may be, some of them may not be, because what's going to happen is the heat rise on the unit isn't going to be, well, it's going to be what it's designed for, but if it's sucking in mixed air, and some of that mixed air is below zero, and then return air with 70 if you're lucky, let's say 65. But what you're essentially doing is cooling off your building because the unit's not size big enough to maintain the correct discharge temperature in that extreme cold. Same thing with the air conditioning. They're not size big enough. They're just not. They're not sized for extreme temperatures. Trust me. So have your HVAC guy come out and go, listen, this guy on YouTube said this and blah, blah, blah. You got to make sure that my outside air dampers are no more than 10% open, or in some cases, your discretion, closed 100%, but they got to be reopened. And I really don't recommend closing them 100% because you're going to throw your building into a negative, because a lot of times when the building is balanced, the dining room and the bar units are used for some makeup air replenishing supply air to make sure the building is balanced. But you know what? You gotta do like the famous line from War Games. Well, I'd piss on a spark plug if it'd help. That's what you're gonna be in. You're gonna be in that position, and I don't want you in that position. But for the love of God, if you mess with your makeup air, not your makeup air, your outside air dampers, make sure after the cold weather's gone or the hot weather that your technician comes back out. And if you're using the same provider and not these middle management people, and go, hey, Tim, you know, when you come out and do air filters, can you just make sure those dampers are where they were? And whoever moved them better mark them. That's all I'm going to say. But if you just got anybody coming in there because 2-hour response times or they're cheaper or all this stuff, this ain't going to work. Just like, yeah, I'll come out there, I'll close them down, and then when I come out here in a week or two to change your air filters, because I got the PM and we have a partnership, I'll move them back. Everybody's happy. Ice machines do not like working, especially remote ones, and specifically remotes, because the ambient air is where they're sitting outside. And essentially, I would make sure that you get someone out there just to make sure your ice machine's working, especially anything south of the Mason-Dixon line, because, no offense, but a lot of you don't understand headmasters, and a lot of people don't understand them north of the Mason-Dixon line. So this isn't a stereotypical comment or discriminatory. It's just a fact, okay? If your ambient air is below 70 degrees, whether it's day or night, your headmaster is going to kick in. I don't care who makes the unit, all right? You have to make sure that that headmaster is not dropping below bypass pressure, or you're not going to have harvest, enough heat for harvest. And if fan control is not the answer, Ice-O-Matic. So just do that too, or otherwise your ice machine is going to break, and then you're going to have to get ice, because it'll make ice real fast, but it won't harvest it. So just make sure, again, hey, Tim, you're coming out, you get to change the filters. Can you check my ice machine real quick and at least make sure that they're working right? It's going to take no more than an hour if you have two of them. I mean, really, because you don't want to run out of ice. Remote walk-ins, any remote refrigeration systems, there's something called migration. So when it gets pretty much around 20 below, and depending on either you have self-contained units, which doesn't make sense, but single condensing units on the roof just sitting up there, or you have something like a cold zone or Kyrac rack, and there's usually 2 or 3 or 4 condenser fan motors, and some of the fan motors are wired into either running all the time through a breaker and a contactor, and some of them are cycled on temperature, ambient temperature, which I've had to shut the primary on a cold zone rack in Houlihan's and Stratford Mall in Bloomingdale. It's 20 below. I had to shut off both fans. There was 2 because I had such bad liquid migration, which means refrigerant likes to go to the coldest place. So it's going to hang out when it's 20 below with air flying across the coil, condenser coil. And the only thing you can do is turn those fans off and start adding more refrigerant to it. That's all I can tell you. I would like to think that they're engineered a little bit better nowadays, but you're still not going to beat the law of thermodynamics and poor engineering. So I like fan controls on fan motors, but you got to make sure those are installed correctly, because everybody argues. And I just said fan controls don't work. That was on ice machines. On remote systems for walk-ins, reach-ins, whatever, I'd like to see a headmaster and a fan control. But as long as they're not fighting each other. So it's going to get really cold. 20 below zero, your walk-ins won't come on because the refrigerant won't come back down and won't make the low-pressure control, so you don't have compressor operation. So you're going to lose $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 of food. I would bring this up to your service provider again. Hey, Tim, you're coming out and doing this and doing that. Can you look at my pressure controls and make sure they're set for like 20 cut in and 15 differential cut out? Just make sure that that's good. And the crankcase heaters are working and yada, 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 and whatever. Yeah, I can do that. You're going to pay for it, but I'm going to do it. And you're cheaper on regular time than overtime. And you haven't lost $30,000 of food yet. So here's a couple more things and I'm done. Your automobile. Okay. Now, again, I'm not picking on you because my son lives in Nashville, but he's originally from Chicago. But you guys are going to freeze your ass off relative to what you're used to, like people in Florida. And when I lived in there, Florida through the whole COVID crap, woman was walking her dog and it was 40 degrees in the morning and she was wearing a parka and boots and gloves. And me being from Chicago, I was just walking around in a T-shirt. She's looking at me like I'm a Martian. And it's like, I get it because it's hot. It's hot. And I understand that. But what you people don't get, I don't think, or you may not get, is that you need antifreeze in your car, hence the word anti-freeze. You just can't fill your radiator with water or, well, moonshine would probably be better, but I mean, I was going to say that. Whatever you want to put in it, but you should put antifreeze in it, especially now when it's going to get cold. And there's a little tester that you can buy off of Amazon to test your antifreeze temperature limit and what it's good to. So you stick this hose in there, you squeeze a bulb, and you let it go, and it sucks antifreeze into this gizmo that checks your antifreeze temperature level, and there's some balls and stuff that float in there. I mean, hell, they might even be digital nowadays. But you got to make sure that your car doesn't just have water in the radiator. Because if it does, you're going to pop a radiator. Just simple common sense stuff that at least for us northerners or whatever, that's just par for the course. It's like, what's the last time you had your antifreeze checked? Like, fuck, I don't know. Well, you better check it. And if you're going out, have a blanket and all the survival things without going crazy, water, whatever. Don't listen to the state police. If they say don't go out, don't go out. I mean, y'all, again, south of the Mason-Dixon line, if there's ice on the road and 2 inches of snow, it's the end of the world. Where us northerners are just like, whatever. That's just what it is. It's just a different geographical culture thing. We're used to it. You're not. There's no judgment. It's just, you guys couldn't drive in 2-inch snow to save your life. And in some of your cases, it damn near ends your life or someone else's, and you don't want that. So if the state police say, don't go out, don't go out. Okay? I'm doing it for you. I'm not trying to be a dick here. I'm trying to be real with sarcasm and attempted humor. But this ain't funny stuff. This is dangerous stuff. Okay? When you're walking, be careful. I know martial arts and Hapkido, so I've learned how to fall the right way and not put my hands back. And I've fell quite a few times in my life, and I know how to fall, but a lot of people don't, and they're gonna break bones and hips and smack their head and get knocked unconscious because I was sideways lickety split, and I'm pretty aware of what's going on, but a little ice in the dark or on your front stoop or your steps or wherever, parking lot, you're going to go down. So be careful. Be careful. If you have a watch or iWatch that senses that kind of stuff and it'll call somebody, great. It'll save your life. You don't want to freeze to death. I slipped and ate shit on a roof in Schaumburg, Illinois, and I was like that far away from hitting the back of my head on a 4-inch gas main, and nobody would have known. So this is no joke, but this isn't trying to scare you. It's trying to prepare you. Any comments, any additions, I don't want to make this debate class. Okay, oh no, that's not true, and this and that, whatever. Okay, whatever. That's not the point. It's not a point for me to show what I know and what you don't know, or vice versa. This is to help people. That's it. That's my intentions. Because if you can be a little proactive and a little educated and use common sense and get ahead of the curve for 3 days of bad consecutive weather, you're going to be none the wiser and all the better. And that's my intentions. I've done this with my customers, and I've saved them a lot of money and a lot of headaches. And the ones that didn't listen, they got shut down, and one of them wanted me to pay for broken pipes, and I go, no. Number one, your manager downtown Chicago, not saying the concept, because I like the concept, and I still do, and I did, and I eat there out here in Colorado, but they broke pipes, and the facilities guy called me that morning and goes, well, Tim, we broke some pipes down in the store on Wabash and the city, and I need your insurance information. I go, for what? And he goes, for a claim. And I go, no. He goes, what do you mean, no? I go, number one, that general manager is using a different service company, which I have under contract. Number two, we did a heat startup on his Makeup Air in the parking garage and told him that it needs attention and sent him a estimate to fix it, and he never fixed it. And the facilities guy goes, well, can you prove that? I said, yeah, I'll dig through the fax machine memory and I'll send it to you. And sure enough, and I never heard about it again. So if someone's telling you to fix your stuff, I call them tomorrow and go, hey, man, can you get out and fix this? And they're probably going to laugh at you because it's too late. It's like closing the submarine door after you submerge, It's like, hey, man, it's like closing the barn door after the horse got out. It's a little too late. You will save a ton of money. I don't care if you're using AI or not. This is common sense, and you have to be proactive when it comes to extreme weather. You don't want to fix your stuff under normal weather conditions. That's your business. But I'm telling you right now, it's going to cost you 3 to 5 times more than if you just don't do it. Oh, and one more thing. Find out what the hot surface igniter part number is, or ask your service company when they come out, hey, next time you come out, can you get me an extra hot surface igniter for my furnace? And they're going to go, yeah, why? It's like, well, because I'll have it here, and if you can't get me one, or I can find my son, my husband, my dog, monkey, AI robot, Tesla robot, to change hot surface igniter because more than half the calls are because of bad hot surface igniters. And all it is a thing that glows hot when it's calling for heat and then opens up the main gas valve and lights the burner and is also usually the flame sensor. I can't tell you how many of those things that go bad in the worst times. So have an extra hot surface igniter. I forgot about that. Residential. I mean, commercial, they really don't use them. They do, but I mean, it's usually spark ignition, flame rectification, and a flame sensor, but whatever. I mean, it's pretty reliable stuff if it's maintained and checked out before it gets cold. And that's really about it. Get a good PM on your stuff. And I'm more focused on residential than commercial because it's too late for you guys. You're screwing the pooch here because you waited too long. Don't do that. And have a good reputable service company and partner with them because they'll take care of you instead of just having an open book that you just go to mystuffsbroke.com.org and then that middle management company emails people and go, hey, can you get here in 2 hours? It's like, fuck no, I can't get out in 2 hours. I'm busy, man. It's 22 below zero. Oh, well, we'll call somebody else. Okay. See how that works out for you. Because you're going to get nobody. Partnerships is where it's at. Not magic software, not service, middle management service facilities people, partnerships. And you'll be taken care of. And you're going to have a company that actually wants to fix your stuff the right way because that's what makes them come back and you're going to call them. It's like going out to dinner. If you have a good restaurant, a good concept, and great food and great service, people are going to come back. If you don't, you won't. It's just really that simple, but I'm not getting into that. It's a whole different subject. So stay warm, be safe, listen to what I'm saying. Questions, comments. If you even want me, you want to call me, leave a message here, and we'll figure something out, at least by email or something, and do something if you're just really up shit's creek without a paddle, which I don't want anybody to be in, but yeah, it's about service and giving back, and that's why I'm doing this for no other reason whatsoever. Share this with people, your mother, your grandparents, people, without scaring them. Or you do it for them and you watch this and go, hey, look, I listened to some asshole on YouTube and I know what to do. So call me. Especially people that are living alone and are elderly. Because this is where naughty things happen with service providers. And it makes me sick. It happens in Florida way too much. Way too much. I was 1 connection, 1 degree of separation from the Attorney General. I forgot her name in Florida. And, yeah. Like, oh my God. I can't handle that. I can't handle that. I don't know how you people sleep at night, but whatever. So, there you go. That's it. I hope it helps. Text, got any issues, any problems, anything? Listen to what I'm telling you. It's going to take you 4 decades to learn what I know. I don't care how many certifications you got or how many certifications you pulled out of a cereal box or got off the internet or whatever. It isn't going to matter. Okay? It matters for a job and getting promoted, but that's it. It's not going to help you when you're freezing your ass off on a roof trying to fix something and go, oh, I never seen this before. Mm-hmm. That's right. And you got to figure it out. You got to save the day, or you're a hero or an asshole and you leave, and you'll be the asshole. You'll probably be the hero when you fix it. You'll be the asshole when you get the bill. But, I mean, at least you got them going. That's the job. So, yeah, that's it. I hope it helps. So, kind of block the guitar out. But I hope you enjoyed it. And excuse I don't have a green screen or any of that. It's the first time I've done this with OBS, and I'm impressed, but I don't know if there's any backgrounds or anything I can use or whatever. Like I said, I'm not a fan about doing this. I prefer audio and podcasting, but this is, at least you know who you're dealing with now, I guess. And I'd like some nice graphics or background crap or whatever. You probably can do it because I heard OBS is really amazing. So Stefan Burns, geologist, does it. Look him up on YouTube, and he uses this. It's another reason why I'm like, oh, I got that for free on my Linux Mint. Let me check it out. And so far, so good. It was really super easy. Just FYI. Usually to get the streaming key from YouTube and this and all this crap, you got to do that on YouTube and then come back and put it in the software. This did it automatically. Automatic system configuration. Great. A freaking monkey could do this. And that's not saying much about me. But I'm just letting you know. So, stay warm. Drink a lot of coffee, hot tea. And just be smart and use common sense and don't let your anxiety or fear get to you. Okay? And listen to this video as many times as it takes. Or reach out to me. Or whatever. Share it. Oh, hey, listen to this guy. Because, you know, I don't know what to tell you, but he does. So it's like, okay. So, and that's it. So, I hope we get all through it, but I don't think we're out of the storm yet. We still got at least another 30 days of potentially cold weather. And February usually is the coldest weather. And you're going to have problems because of the things that I brought up and possibly more. But if you know about them, you can do something about them. So that's it. Thanks for listening to me. Hope you liked the show. I hope you like Go Broncos. I hope you enjoyed it. And that's it. So until next time, I'll be back. And stay warm. And share the show. Share this. It's not